Mr. President, welcome to the Axios Show.
Thank you.
We wanted to make this more of a conversation than a typical interview where we're just going to hop around from topics to
Okay.
topic. And we wanted to do, Axios likes to do one big thing.
Okay.
And so the one big thing we want to talk about is power and how you think about it and how you wield it. A decade ago, you first became president, and you've had loads of experience since then. In that span of time, what is the one big thing you've learned about wielding power?
Well, I think you have to do it judiciously. I think that experience is good. I always say that potential is far more important. In other words, having ability is far more important than experience, but having both is very good. And I learned a lot during the first administration. And I was told just the other day, because, we had a tremendous G7 and very dominant G7. We got what I wanted. And somebody said the other day that this is a far more powerful administration or term than the first one. And we had a good first term. We had the best economy. We had a lot of good things happening. We rebuilt the military. We did a good job. But I feel it's a more powerful term than the first one. Now, that comes with experience. It also comes by having somebody precede you who was a disaster. I mean, the man was a disaster. And so when you're compared to somebody like that, you look maybe better than you are. That's possible. But I feel that it's a very powerful administration right now.
You mentioned the G7. You saw a number of world leaders. You walked in and you said, "I'm the boss."
Yeah.
How many of them believe that?
All of them. But I was just being funny. What happened is they were all sitting, and then I walked into the room, and it was just sort of funny because it's a very long table, but there's only 7 of them. The table is meant for like 30 people, so the whole end of the table looked like almost a perfect podium type setup, right? And I saw them all sitting. They're all well-known figures, right? The heads of countries. We had a couple of others in there too, as you know. Some, like as an example, Modi of India, great guy. A lot of people came. They're allowed to come if they want and sit. But I walked in there, these leaders, and I just looked at them. I said, "I'm the boss, and you remember." And that was done as a joke. This thing got carried all over the world. I can't believe it. I was just being cute, funny. I wasn't trying to be the boss.
You have experience, obviously, with world leaders from your 2 terms. What's your definition of a great leader? How do you define?
Well, you have so many different types of leaders. Yesterday, as an example, I'll mention the name again because pretty great. All my life I've watched India. They just kept changing. Somebody would be there for 6 months and then a year. And then all of a sudden, Prime Minister Modi ends up there. He's been there for more than 12 years, very solid. And he does it through there's a great calmness, and yet he's not a calm person. He's a very tough guy. I know him very well. And you have such different leaders. I watched Brazil, the leader who I know a little bit. He's a very volatile person.
You're not a fan of Lula, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not a fan or not a fan. I don't think about him, to be honest with you. I don't really think about him. I couldn't care less. But he's a different kind of a person now, very volatile. I watched as he made a speech, and it was a very volatile, and it's fine. It's all different types. So when you say about leaders, when you say about, what do they all have in common? Look, they're all smart. You can't get to that level without being smart. Who's very smart is President Xi of China. He's a very smart man. You don't get to those levels where you're running a country, even if it was a small country. You have something special. Now, in some cases, it doesn't work out, but you need something special. It's not an easy thing to do.
What is it about Xi that you find most admirable?
So we have a very good relationship. And you probably heard me say yesterday, I said, I want to thank him because he didn't get involved with the whole thing with Iran. He could have gotten involved. He could have sent a nice oil ship surrounded by 12 destroyers and see if he could blast his way through the blockade, which was an unbelievable military. I think it's going to go down as one of the great military maneuvers. It was every bit as important as all the bombing we did. It really They were dying. They had no money, no nothing for months. But presidency, I asked him, I said, I'd really appreciate you not getting involved. And he was great. He didn't get involved. And I think if somebody else would have said that, I don't think somebody else would have even asked him that, but I did. I get along with him well. He's a strong man. He's no games. He won't sit down and say, "Oh, what a beautiful day. This is a wonderful day, Mark. Look how beautiful. Look at the sunshine." There's none of that stuff. It's like all business, which I like. I think it's great.
Is there something about the Chinese system that you think advantages him and his country that you wish you had here?
Well, it's actually supposed to be a disadvantage. You know, we have the entrepreneurship and all the things you read about, but they're there just about as quick as we are. You know, you go to something's hot, and we get there, and the Chinese are standing there before us. Or we beat them by a little bit. But I'll tell you, we're beating them on AI. We have the strongest military in the world. We have the most powerful military in the world. He admitted to me, you have the most powerful. I did a great job. I rebuilt our military in the first term and did it well. Look, take a look at Venezuela. 48 minutes, the whole thing was over. 48 minutes. And by the way, now we have a great relationship, and we've paid for that war with Venezuela many, many, many times. We're taking out millions of barrels of oil, and we're making them more money than they've ever made before. All the big oil companies are moving in. It's amazing. There's no place with that kind of oil. I guess us, maybe we have the most. And they're probably second or third.
Obviously, if I ask you who are the two greatest or leaders you like the most on the world stage, I would assume one of them is Xi.
Yeah, I think in terms of leadership, I think that's true.
Who's the other? When you think of power and leverage and the ability to execute on that.
Well, I think Modi is very good. Yeah, they've had some very good numbers announced. He stays out of wars, which is smart. He's 1.5 billion people. He's actually the biggest. India's actually the biggest. Modi's a great leader, and we do a lot of business with them, but now we do fair business. They used to really rip us off. I don't blame them for that. You know, we had stupid politicians, but that allowed that to happen. But now we do a lot of business. They're not that happy about it because they used to do a lot better. So, but Modi's great. President Xi is great. Classics, you know. I mean, if you were going to make a movie about either one of them, you wouldn't be able to find the man in Hollywood. I'm telling you, it's as an example, the look of Xi. He's got a great look. You know, looks don't matter, right? You know, we don't like that. They say don't talk about looks, but he's he's tall. He's 6'2". He's got a great stature. He's got great confidence, and he's smart. Modi in a very different way, just highly respected. I've seen, I know the real Modi is a very tough cookie. I'll tell you, I got to know some that I didn't know very well in Pakistan. You have the field marshal, who's great. Munir, he's great. And you have the prime minister, and they just get along great. I figured, well, maybe the military guy he totally respects the prime minister. It's a beautiful thing to see. But they really helped us with this deal. They were, they knew the Iranians, they knew the people, and they were good. You have leaders you have so many different types. For the most part, if you're a smart person, you can understand, you have to be in these positions. You have to be smart. You have to be tough, maybe smart even more so, but the combination is probably better. But there are a lot of great leaders out there, and there are a lot of really bad ones.
Okay, well, let's talk about that.
Who's the bad one?
Who are the two weakest?
Well, I can't say that because
you're the president.
I can't say. I will tell you though that this couple of days was interesting. It was held in France, and Emmanuel Macron of France, who won't be there that much longer, he's the president, and he was. I'll tell you what, he did a great job of hosting the G7, really good. No games, no nothing. And he invited me about a week before. He said, would you do me a favor? Would you come into Paris? We'd like to honor you. I view it as honoring the nation. But he said, I'd like to honor you. And he had the biggest people in Europe there and beyond. I mean, some people in Versailles. And I was sort of not going to do it, but he knew my weakness because I think Versailles is one of the great places. So I figured,
What's your weakness?
like places like Versailles. But no, it's incredible. So, and it's not something they do. I understand that they don't do that. They don't do dinners at Versailles. And we had a fantastic dinner. I think he did a fantastic job, I'll tell you, with the G7. I've seen G7s. I've been to a lot of G7s, and used to be G8s.
Mm.
They should have kept the G8. You probably wouldn't have the war with Russia and Ukraine if they did, but Obama didn't want Putin there. I guess one or two others also, but they wanted Putin out. It used to be the G8. Would have been much better if they kept it that way.
When it's not always raining, there'll be days like this. When there's no one complaining,
You're good to me.
there'll be days like this. My mama
This
told
way is
me
way faster.
there'll be days like this.
Shift to Iran. There's now light at the end of the tunnel for the conflict. What have you learned about not just the exercise of power, but the limits on your power as a result of the conflict?
There are no limits.
No limit.
No, not. I haven't learned that lesson yet. I know there are, but there are no limits. We defeated them totally militarily. I was asked by Pakistan, because they're close, to please not do any more. I said, I like them a lot. I think that there are no limits. We have the most powerful military in the world, by far. Who else could have done a blockade like that? I did a naval blockade where not one ship was able to get through. Some tried. They didn't, it didn't last very long.
And it certainly brought Iran to the table more than before. However, beginning a conflict, you had talked about you only wanted unconditional surrender. And
Well,
the MOU doesn't look like unconditional surrender.
well, it really probably is unconditional surrender.
It is?
I think so. Look, they have no military. They're all at the bottom of the sea. 159 ships, that's what they have.
Sure, but they could still menace. They only had these small Gashti boats or go-fast
Look, you
boats
call it what you want. I hear the JCPOA, the Obama nuclear catastrophe, which was so bad. When Obama left, he didn't hit their military.
Sure.
He didn't damage their Navy or destroy their Air Force. I destroyed the Air Force. I destroyed their anti-aircraft weapons. That's why we were flying over there totally unimpeded. We turned off all the stealth. They couldn't do a damn thing. He didn't do any of that stuff. He didn't kill their leadership. I did twice, 2.5 times to be exact. He didn't do anything to Soleimani. I killed Soleimani.
And you killed the Ayatollah.
And I killed the
And a number
Ayatollah.
of IRGC officials.
And I
most-
sadly hurt the other Ayatollah, who I will tell you, I did not meet him. I did not speak to him, but people were speaking to him. But he's got a certain braveness because he's badly injured.
Oh, the second,
Yes,
Khamenei,
the
the
son,
the
yeah.
junior. Nevertheless, all of those things being true,
Well, you can't just say, "Oh, forget about."
No,
Excuse me. I wiped out their military.
I don't dispute that.
For those people that say, "Oh, maybe I wasn't tough enough," I've wiped out. I took out their biggest bridge because they showed up late at a meeting. They said that wasn't very nice. You know that bridge? That's their George Washington Bridge. I wiped it out in 3 minutes. I took out Carg Island, everything except one thing. I said, leave the pipes alone because, I'm not looking to damage the world economy. So I think we were very tough. The people that say, oh, he could have been tougher. The entire military is gone. Ready? Air Force is gone. Do you agree? It's gone.
Wiped out.
There's no airplane.
Yeah.
There's no airplanes. They had a lot of them. They had 200 of them. They're all gone. Navy, 159 ships, right? All at the bottom of the sea. Leadership. Their first stringers, all gone, including Khomeini, the first one. They then put a new group in there, very good, but very nasty. I dealt with them. They're gone. They're all gone. And we're dealing with the third group, who I actually think is the smartest group. And I actually think it's regime change, if you want to know the truth. These are different people.
How is a regime change if you have...
Because they're different people.
But you have Khamenei Jr., you still have a lot of IRGC officials there.
They're different people.
All right.
Khamenei Jr. is different from the father.
You have a number
And we have people that are much less radicalized than the previous two groups, of which I knew them both. But think of it. Oh, why aren't you tougher? The only way I can get tougher is if I go in there for another 2 or 3 weeks and continue to bomb the hell out of them, right? But what does that get us? The Strait of Hormuz will not be open. Let's say I did that. Let's say I decided to do that. It was a decision I had to make. So right now, our stock market is through the roof. The oil prices are tumbling. The oil prices are practically the same as they were before I started. The big difference is that Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. They're never going to have a nuclear weapon, okay? It's very clear and very simple. But if I were hitting them right now, when you stopped, if we're not going to put boots on the ground, okay? I mean, you don't want boots on the ground, right? If we're not going to put boots on the ground, probably the same people, they go deep into the caves. They're called granite caves. They're very powerful. They go deep in, and then when we stop, they'll come up, and they'll probably be the same leaders. So nothing. Okay, ready? When I knock them out, we knock them out so powerfully, we would right now have the Hormuz Strait would be totally closed. It would have mines all over it, and it would have missiles flying over $1 billion ships, and those ships will never sail. We wouldn't have oil for months. As long as you're dropping bombs, that thing is automatically closed because those ships cost $500 to $1 billion apiece. They're not going to be sailing with rockets. So just to finish, I just looked. Oil is tumbling. The ships are roaring out of there. They want to go home. They want to drop. They're all full with oil. This is a gusher. I mean, we have 700 or 800 ships are leaving. But if I attack them, none of those ships are leaving. The stock market is way up, way, way up. The stock market is up over the last 4 or 5 days when it looks like we're going to make a deal. Stock market's up thousands of points. Everybody's richer. Now, would you rather have that or be like some stupid people? I'd be honest with you. I lost respect for some people because...
Who'd you lose respect for?
I don't want to mention the names.
Oh, you can.
But hardliners, you got to take them out yet.
Well, what are you going to do?
Let me tell you. And plus, I'm not looking to kill people. I have one primary wish as president. In terms of people, I never want to be the late, great Herbert Hoover. So this is the kind of thing that could cause a worldwide depression. Do you know that for the last 2 months, I've been taking many ships out there and nobody knew it? You know why they didn't know it? Because we knocked out their radar. We knocked out all of their defensive stuff, and they were unable to see. Last week, we had one night 25 ships, one night 22, one night 19, one night 21. So every night, all these ships out. Oh, we should a lot. That's how the people were saying, where is this oil coming from? Nobody knew. We'd leave at 1 o'clock in the morning, all lights off, and we'd have our Navy destroyers going alongside, and they had no equipment because we destroyed all of the equipment that would normally be, used to detect this. And I went for a month and a half taking many ships out there every night at 1 o'clock in the morning, and we were never detected until about a week ago. And then I announced that we're doing it.
Well, I think the New York Times had reported that you guys were engaged in that operation of 20 ships
maybe.
Or whatever. I wanted to shift.
They shouldn't have. If they did, they shouldn't
Well,
have.
they had good sources.
I mean, that's not very patriotic if they did.
Well, I did want to talk about Cuba and AI.
We'll do it, and we have to do it fast because they're waiting for me at a very important minute.
So you had said if Cuba is, or better said, if Iran is finished, then it's time for Cuba.
Right.
Is there a countdown clock on Cuba?
It's a flexible line, but Marco is involved very much. Marco's doing a great job, by the way. All my people are doing a very good job. But Marco's parents, it's such a great story. His parents were from Cuba. So you do agree I defeated Venezuela? Incredible.
100%.
I got him out of there.
How do you make the operation in Cuba look more like the Venezuela operation?
Well, the difference is Venezuela has oil, Cuba doesn't. Cuba has nice property and they
How
have
do you
nice
make it-
shoreline.
Right. How do you make
They
it
don't have-
look more like the Venezuela operation than the Iran operation? Iran operation took longer.
No,
Venezuela was
I
done
think the
quicker.
Iran operation, in a certain way, it's much bigger,
Yeah.
much more powerful from the standpoint of weaponry than Venezuela. But Venezuela is a very military state. You know, they have a lot of soldiers. You know, we went into that fort and they had thousands of soldiers in, and we went in with 201 people. And that was the pilot was very brave. He had his leg shot from underneath with the machine gunner who got who escaped a bad life, a bad death. So, no, I think that Venezuela, here's the thing. In Venezuela, it was so incredible, right?
Yeah.
And we waited and waited. And at the right time, I said, let's go do it now. We waited for the weather. We had to wait 6 days. We had some really bad weather. You know, the pilot said, sir, we want to do it. We went in less than ideal. They didn't care. And it actually lasted 48 minutes. And this is an arm, you know, they have a lot of soldiers there, a lot of good soldiers. If you look at Iran, they've been doing this stuff for 47 years. They've been taunting you and everybody else, all of the media, everything. They're very good with the press. They have a great fake media. And I put out a truth a little while ago. I said, if I had the white flag of surrender raised, and if they said, praise be to Allah, Trump is the greatest president, we hereby surrender, the New York Times would write that they won the war. They've lost so much credibility. So it's a very different kind of a place than Venezuela. But Venezuela, you know, we're running Venezuela with the people that we
Do you see the Cuba operation running similarly to the way
possibly
Venezuela?
it's possible. Well, there's another thing. These places are close by. Whereas if you look at Iran, that's a very long trip.
Mm.
You know, I flew to that area a few times and unrelated to this, but you're flying for 18 hours. You know, you're flying for a long time. Venezuela is relatively close, and Cuba's hopscotch.
Well, I wanted to talk about...
We're going to have Marco get involved with Cuba. Cuba wants to talk very badly. We have a lot of people that voted for me, like 95%. And we're going to...
Some of your strongest support is in the Cuban-American community.
That's right. No, I love them.
So wanted to present this to you, just the map of the Western Hemisphere. When you look at, I mean, not as a gift, right? But when you look at this, do you see this as a fundamentally American hemisphere? Is this fundamentally
more and more so? Yeah,
more and more so.
We're much more respected. So we had a man that couldn't walk up a flight of stairs, and I don't want to talk about because if I ever trip a little bit, they'll say, "Oh, this is terrible." Okay, can happen, but you can't trip every time you go on a stage. We had a man that wasn't respected. He wasn't smart 40 years ago. He was the worst thing that ever happened to old people, because I have old people, friends of mine that are 93, 95 years old. They're 100%. Gary Player, great golfer. I play golf. He shot 71. He's 90 years old, and he's mentally exactly the same as he was for the last 30 years. There are a lot of people. Biden was the worst thing that ever happened to old people, because you guys were not honest with the public. The public saw it. He was a disaster. And you know, the worst thing he did, inflation was really bad, but that wasn't the worst thing. The worst, because I inherited all this stuff. Look at what's happening with prices. Now they're coming down. And with the oil, they're really coming down. I had to make an excursion to stop a very volatile group of people that are smart, very smart. You know, the Iranians, very smart people. They're sort of primitive genius, but they're smart. I mean, okay? I had to stop them, because if they had a nuclear weapon, they would use it. And you want to see Bedlam? Let them blow up a couple of cities someplace like they would have blown up Israel. If it weren't for me, Israel would not exist today, because I terminated the Barack Hussein Obama deal, the JCPOA, which was a road to a nuclear weapon. They would have had it 5 years ago. They would have used it within the first week, in my opinion, and Israel would no longer be with us. Israel would have been gone years ago had I not done that. Now, what surprised me most is they waited so long. They waited till I came back. They didn't do it intentionally. They didn't think I'd be coming back. A lot of people didn't think so because of weaponization. They weaponized government. But I came back with a roar, but better than before, I think, better than before. And think of it. Israel would have been gone if we didn't hit them with the B-2 bombers. They were all that enriched material. They were 1 month away. It was right there. They could have walked down. They can't do that anymore. You know, the B-2 bombers did their job with those great pilots. That's sitting, the mountain collapsed on top of it. It collapsed on top of it. Had we not hit them, they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have used it on Israel. They would have used it also on Saudi Arabia. And you saw that on Qatar, on UAE, on Kuwait, Bahrain. Because when that war started, I guess my biggest surprise, almost immediately, missiles were flying at these 5 other countries. I said, why is he doing it? And you know what that did? That brought those 5 countries right into my lap. They were great.
And last one, artificial intelligence.
Excuse me, just 1 second. If it weren't for Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu worked well with me, but he will tell you, we're the ones with the guns, we're the ones with the whole deal, we're the ones with the B-2 bombers, etc. If it weren't for Donald Trump, Israel would have been eviscerated.
Your relationship with Netanyahu's...
It's good, but we have to keep him a little bit sane.
Are you going to be able to control Israel from attacking Lebanon?
Yeah, I will be. I mean,
How?
I wonder. They have a lot of respect for me, and they do as I say. Remember this. If I don't terminate the JCPOA, remember, that was a road to a nuclear weapon, legally. It says right there. And Obama thought he could pay them off. He gave them billions and billions of dollars, $1.7 billion in cash. You know, it was a well-known story, but it didn't work. You can't bribe your way out of it. You can't pay off your way. But if I didn't do that, and if I didn't attack their nuclear supply 10 months ago with the B-2 bombers, Israel would not exist today.
So artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Did not a very artful transition by me. Do you see artificial intelligence as a weapon?
Well, if improperly used, it could be. If properly used, I will tell you one thing. It's so big.
Yeah.
It is big like nobody's, I mean, bigger than the internet. It's bigger than any, I've seen the different things come along. It's an age where people like you, if we're nice, smart people like we are, we watch and we see what's happening. This AI is incredible. Now, it's unbelievable for good. You're going to have medical cures coming up 25 years early because of it. You're going to have other things happening, but you have to watch. You know, we have a situation with Anthropic, and we didn't like what they were doing. And so far, I think they've behaved very responsibly to our request.
Do you view Anthropic and, to a degree, its CEO, Dario Amodei, as a threat to national security?
Well, not now, but a week ago, maybe. I was with him yesterday. He made a speech. I made a little speech. We were in the room on the G7, and seems like a nice guy, smart guy. But he responded to us very quickly. Because, you know, it's tremendous liability. People get put in prison immediately for that. You know, you can't play games with that. And he responded very responsibly, I thought. So far, I think he will.
Do you have the power and the inclination to shut them down or possibly take them?
Well, I don't want to do that because I'm somebody that, you know, we're beating China by a lot on AI. I was with President Xi. We talked about it. We're beating China by a lot. Everyone thought that we didn't have the electricity. I came up with an idea. I thought of it myself. I let them build their own electric plants when they're building their factories. That way they don't have to use an old grid. And they actually sell back into the grid at a cheap price, excess electricity. They need massive amounts. It's amazing, Mark. They need double the amount of electricity that this country produces for everything to run it. So I had the idea. I said, I'm going to let them. I mean, we don't have that kind of electricity. Really, nobody does. And they're building their plants, and they're building the most incredible electric producing factories you've ever seen. So we're leading China by a lot. It's going to be for the good, and we're watching for the bad. I think the good, let me put it a different way, the good far outweighs the bad. We are going to find the bad, and we're going to stop it.
You have the power to use the Defense Production
I have
Act,
the power to
potentially?
use a lot of things, yeah.
Would you consider using the Defense Production Act to possibly regulate or control AI or AI?
I would, but I'm not sure I have to do that. I think so far it's been very responsible. Actually, it was a competitor and a part owner that turned Anthropic in. They didn't like what they were doing. They were very concerned. Think of it, it's a part owner. And I think it worked out very well, I think.
And France at the G7 had talked about having an international group comes together. They want the United States to share more on AI.
Well, the problem we have is that we are leading everybody by a lot.
Where are you as you wind down your presidency? You've got 2 more years.
Yeah. I don't call it a wind down. I think we got a lot of time. We have every 2.5 plus years.
Every presidency has a life cycle.
Yeah.
And as a president comes to in a second term to his last midterm, his party usually loses control of the House. His poll numbers usually start to decline, and he starts to weaken. And that's happening to you.
No, it's not. Fake polls. I have great poll numbers.
How do you maintain?
I would beat any candidate they have by 25 points.
Well, how do you maintain
I have great poll numbers.
How do you maintain your power going forward? You have the Senate that's rebelling.
Think about it. No, I don't think about it. All I do is do my job. I have more than 2.5 years. I have a lot of time. But all I do is think about doing my job. And we have other things, very big things that I want to do in the next 2.5 years. Some very impactful things. Things are happening that aren't good, and I'm going to straighten them out. And some things are happening that should be better, and I'm going to make them better. This is a great presidency.
Are you going to miss being in this White House?
Well, it's so early. I don't like to talk about it because, 2.5 years is a pretty long time, in all fairness. I love the building. I'm fixing the building. I do that in my little side hobby. You see the granite, they had stones that's broken, the marble's broken, the tile they have is garbage from a low-class place that sells garbage. This is the White House. You saw the white floor, I assume. You saw the beautiful granite. I fix it. I pay for it myself. I don't want money. And the White House will soon be in better shape than it was. And most importantly, when it was built, I'm building what will be one of the greatest ballrooms and safety nets anywhere in the world. It's all bulletproof glass. It's all drone-proof roofs. It's actually a drone port on the top of the roof with views of everything. It's very high up.
And you're going to be able to get there through the Senate. I know the Senate has been.
I don't need it through the Senate. I'm paying for myself. I don't know what they're talking about giving $1 billion. I don't need money from the Senate. I'm putting up my own money and the money of very great patriots. Apple, Microsoft, we don't need money. We have a judge that said he'd rather have it be put up by the government. Why? We're giving a gift of a tremendous military and also a very important ballroom for safety. You see how many, with all the whack jobs, all these crazy people, the bulletproof glass is this thick. Nothing gets through it. The drones won't hit it. They'll bounce off the roof. We're actually putting a drone port up that's very important, but we have a judge that probably doesn't like Donald Trump. Fortunately, we have appellate judges that, I've done okay with the appellate judges, but I have not done so well with some of these judges that probably have Trump derangement syndrome. But I will say, just in finishing, we've taken Washington, D.C. from a death trap to one of the safest cities in America.
Mr. President, I appreciate your time. I know you've been rushed today. I don't think you had any sleep, did you?
Not much.
So you flew across.
I had 2 hours for you. 2 hours.
Well,
you need more than 2 hours for him, right? Anyway, thanks.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.